So thank you, Nick, for being here and for taking time out of your very busy schedule. We really appreciate it.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you.
Now, from actually a culture standpoint, we talked about IT doesn't matter, and we read your arguments in the book, and you extended those arguments into The Big Switch, and you made a very interesting philosophical cultural shift in actually The Shallows that you wrote. It's a very interesting point. While you explain it as a very optimistic move, a very forward-looking move, there's also the counterintuitive thought of it kind of putting mankind, at a stage where they have to rethink, what's going on and that kind of stuff. So, do you have any thoughts that you want to share?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at my work over the last 10 years or so, I mean, my article, IT Doesn't Matter, came out in 2003, and in the book Does IT Matter came out in 2004, and then The Big Switch 2008, and The Shallows in 2010. Each of those books is very different, but there's a common theme, and I think the common theme is the centralization of data processing, computing, data storage, applications and stuff. And Does IT Matter argued that a lot of the investments that companies were making in IT were actually inefficient investments, because companies were putting a lot of money into essentially the same hardware, in many of the same software applications as all their competitors. In much of that, I introduced the term infrastructural technology to mean technology that really should be shared rather than run in a fragmented, separate way and invested in by different companies. And I think what we've seen with cloud computing is in some ways a fulfillment of that idea, that with the cloud now we can take all the technologies and services that really should be shared and centralize those and supply them basically from utilities. And that one thing that allows is it allows individual companies to be smarter about which parts of their technology, of their IT, actually makes a difference to them strategically, can give them differentiation, and then deal with kind of push the rest out onto the grid and kind of look at it more as services to be purchased when you need it for whatever purpose you need. Now, I think once you centralize a technology, a resource as important as computing, and we've seen this in the past with electricity and other kinds of resources that become centralized, it doesn't just have economic effects, financial effects on businesses, it has big social and cultural effects. Already we see how the internet and cloud computing is changing the media business, for example, and by extension it's changing how people get news and information dramatically, and it's changing how people communicate with one another through the rise of things like Facebook. And so with toward the end of The Big Switch, I get into some of those changes beyond the implications for corporations, and some of those are very good, and some of those are matters I think of concern. In The Big Switch, I talked about how for instance, we're getting to a new level of computer automation that may threaten lots of existing jobs, for instance, including very sophisticated kind of white-collar knowledge work types of jobs. And in The Shallows, I look at how this kind of radical change in our individual relationship with information and with communication may be turning us into kind of very fast skimmers and scanners of information, but on the negative side, we may be losing some of our more contemplative, reflective, attentive skills. So I think, as with any kind of major technological shift, particularly when you go you move toward the centralization of a technology, you get all sorts of consequences, from the economic to the financial to the cultural and to the social. And I think we're just at the very beginning of seeing both the good sides of those and some of the bad sides as well.
Great, Nick. So thank you so much for your time, and all the best for you afterward, and we really appreciate your insight and your comments.
Thanks very much, Anubhav.